everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Spartan Sports Report on TV3. Brent Duncan joins us to bring us up to date on what's happening at CHS in the sports department. Brent, welcome.
Thanks for having me back.
Always good to have you, and I know you've first week of playing the basketball at CHS, and where do we stand right now?
Well, currently we're on the right side of the ledger moving forward.
Okay.
That's always in flux state of being right now, so tomorrow it could all change. So,
but go ahead.
We're trending in the correct direction for Thursday. So.
Okay, Thursday the girls open the 2021 season and invite the team from New Palestine to come down and play against the Spartans. New Palestine, a team that seems to always have a tall girl or two.
Yeah, everybody seems to have tall people, both male and female. Somehow we're on the shorter end of that stick sometimes. But no, we're excited to get going, and hopefully we'll continue in the right direction for the next 3 days and be able to have New Pal down. You just never know with today's society and things that are happening. It can change in a heartbeat with contact tracing and testing for COVID. But unfortunately, it'll be to a limited capacity crowd again, and so our girls basketball team and our band members and our cheerleaders and Spartanettes will be getting vouchers to hand out to their family members, and that's all that's going to be permitted in is those people with those vouchers with our current status of being in the red and uptick of positive cases inside of Fayette County. And New Palestine is only going to bring their two people per player, so they're going to be on a limited basis. Mm-hmm. Be a small venue on Thursday night, but hopefully we'll get it in. And obviously for us, we would love to have everybody in the bowl as much as we could, but it's more important that our kids get to have a season. But
there will be a JV game at 6 and followed by the varsity
starting at 6
right now. Today,
as of today, 6 o'clock start for those that will be allowed in attendance, and we'll start the varsity game at about 7:30. And I think there's plans for Channel 3 to broadcast it, and WLPK to broadcast it on the radio station. So
Sam's going to be different with no fans there.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot different. I am glad to hear cheerleaders and Spartanettes and band there to give it a little bit of atmosphere for those that can hear us through our crowd mic. But it is what it is, as it's said a lot. But it's important for those other kids to get to participate as well, the band and the cheerleaders and Spartanettes.
Well, it's not only the girls and the boys that are playing winter sports possibility of their last season, it's also the cheerleaders and the Spartanettes and the band's truly last season to perform at an event. And if they're a senior, that's their last go-around to get a shot at doing those things. So it's important because, in the big scheme of things, high school sport is for the kids. It's obviously important to get their parents in to be able to see them. Unfortunately, we have some split families, and sometimes that makes a little pressure on who you give your vouchers to and your family members. But to try to keep everybody safe so that we can continue, that's where we're at currently. Now, it's subject to change as things change, and that's just unfortunately where we're at today. So hopefully.
So will there be instructions for those to come in a certain gate, or are you going to have multiple gates open for?
No, we'll probably just have, with the small amount of people and the ability to have a voucher to get in, it's kind of hard to let them in. So we're really looking at just currently the main ticket area off of Grand. And everybody kind of coming in that door. You've been at the bowl long enough to know that not everybody shows up at once, except for just a couple games, and then it's a crowd. But hopefully we can kind of handle that and monitor that and have people do what they're supposed to do, which is to come in with a face mask on, and you'll be asked to have a face mask to enter the gym. And obviously, if you're sitting in your seats away from everybody and with your own family, you may not be able to have to wear that. But if you get up to go to the restroom or visit the concession stand or whatever, they're going to ask to get your mask on while you're up and moving around. So,
do you think that if things improve, I know last week they said we were highest in the county or highest in the state. A couple weeks before that we were lower. I understand a lot of this high numbers was at one nursing facility in town, which maybe that makes it sound worse than it is, but if it comes down, do you think some of those restrictions can be eased?
Oh, I think in time they'll reevaluate in a week or two and then see where we're at with our numbers, and we're always in constant communication with the health department and Dr. White to pick their brains and get advice from them on where we need to move forward with. So I think there's a chance, depending on how things go in the county and the state overall, that it could lighten up. I don't hold my breath, but I always count that we are, and if we get those, that'll be a blessing for all of us. And I know it's important not only to the girls, but wrestling and swimming is going to be limited, and it's not a very big pool area, so the chances are that the visitors may not be able to bring anybody. We've talked about temporary bleachers maybe out in the hallway. That only alleviates a little bit of the issue because you can't hear and you can see, but you're not in that atmosphere where you have the excitement. But depending on the team, with the number of kids that's going to be in there, it's not a big venue to put a lot of kids in the bleachers and adults as well.
And there's not a lot of room outside the natatorium there either.
No,
I mean,
hallways are
hallway,
small, and
so
put bleachers in there and makes it tighter and smaller, and then you still got to monitor where you're sitting far enough away from people. So obviously gymnastics and wrestling, if they get to move forward, they're a little bit easier because of the space in the upper balcony at the high school is a lot more space to spread out in, and those two sports typically don't have 200 people in attendance. You got 12 to 14 gymnasts and 20 to 30 wrestlers, and there's a lot of space to spread them out in the top. So, but it's all fluent, so we'll have to see where we move in the next couple of weeks. But hopefully it'll get better, and numbers will get better, and we'll be able to increase our attendance.
You make the decision in cooperation with the health department, right?
Absolutely. We always, between ourselves and the administrative office, we're always in communication with those people, the people there, to make sure we're doing the right things and putting our safety of our kids as well as our patrons at interest. And, we want everybody to enjoy sports, but we also want to be able to continue to have sports and not have a spring like we had last year where our kids missed out. So hopefully it'll get better.
Friday night at Spartan Field, you had similar conditions, and everybody seemed to be cooperative, and that seemed to work out all right.
Yeah, I think everything went well. It's just a little strange when you got to check off the list of who's supposed to be in your venue or not. So try to do a little bit differently starting right now, but that was one of those last minute things that we had to get done quickly, so that was the easiest way to get it finished, was to have their list in. So this time the kids will get, like we did in football, some voucher tickets, and if you don't have that voucher ticket, you're not going to get admission into the Spartan Bowl come Thursday night. And that's up to the kids. We'll give those to the players, and they'll hand those out to the people that they want to see come watch them play, where mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister. And that's what we want it for. We want it for the immediate family. We don't want it for your 3 friends removed that just want to come and watch a game. Because even if you come, we're not going to have a student section, so anybody that comes, if they come with my ticket, then they got to sit with me. We're not going to have a pod of kids sitting somewhere and another pod of kids sitting someplace else, so that you have to sit with the people that you come in with your ticket.
And a separate visitors area designated away from.
Yeah, we have people like that south end, but we're going to try to keep all the visitors down on that south end, southwest corner. So they're only getting 2 tickets per player. So if you've got 25 players, they're only going to have about 50 people. So they can kind of sit in their little pods. And there's been lots of things discussed. How do you do the Spartan Classic when you got 32 teams coming? Do you have fans? Now, they do a great job of sitting in groups because you sit with your teams for the most part. But maybe we have to eliminate fans coming to the Spartan Classic, because if you put 32 teams in, everybody's got 14 kids. You're already talking 400 wrestlers in there. So that's a pretty big crowd for what we've been trying to do lately. So, but we've had some teams pull out because they're not allowed to spend the night. So it'll be an ongoing target again. So
Well, maybe things will improve in the meantime.
Well, let's hope. I mean, if it's getting people to do the things they need to do when they're out and about, and wear your mask and try to do things you're asked to do. I'm as guilty as anybody not liking to wear the mask, but I know when I get into a business or a restaurant, I got to go in with a mask on. So I'd wear one in here, but you guys say we can't hear when we talk through our masks. So,
It's important to know that Fayette County, Connersville, and Fayette County are not alone in this. I'm sure you've been in contact with those schools and are going through the same thing.
Yeah, there's a great chance that we're going to move the Mount Vernon girls game, just because there's a really good chance that the Mount Vernon boys team, who's ranked number 1 in 4A, is going to win next Friday night. And then they're going to play the following Friday, which is when we're supposed to play their girls. So we're looking at next Tuesday, the 10th. And I'm waiting for that phone call, because there's a great chance that their JV kids are going to be contact traced out, and there may not be a JV team. So we're all waiting on that phone call. So, and it's just a matter not us or anybody. It's just a matter of who it's going to be and what time it's going to be, and it could be the wrong time. It's unfortunate for us. We had the cross-country kid that was contact traced out, and there's been football teams and volleyball teams that were contact traced out at the wrong time and couldn't participate in the tournament. So we'll see where things flow, and hopefully it'll just get better, and we can go back to whatever the new normal will be.
As I said off air a little while ago, we need to maintain a rigid state of flexibility.
That's a true statement. So it's, you come with the idea this is going to happen by the next 30 minutes, something else is going to take place.
So it's a day-by-day thing, isn't it?
Minute by minute some
Okay.
days. But obviously our goal is to get our kids to have a season and also keep them safe.
Right.
And as well as our patrons that come. We don't want to be the hotbed that caused the problem or
Sure.
caused an outbreak or whatever. And for the most part, our kids at school have done a great job of maintaining that and trying to wear their mask at all times when they're supposed to. So.
As of now, the girls are scheduled to open Thursday and then make a trip to Indianapolis on Saturday. Tell us about that event.
Well, currently, assuming we get to have that on Saturday, we're going to play, and I forget which team we're playing first, whether we're playing Cardinal Ritter or Decatur Central first at 10 o'clock. And in the meantime, either Southport and Ritter or whoever it is will be playing the other game at 10 o'clock, one in the auxiliary gym and one in the main gym. They did do away with the junior varsity part of this tournament for this weekend just because they weren't sure they could get 4 teams comfortably in their auxiliary gym with seating.
Yes.
So it's just going to be a varsity event. Then at 1 o'clock is what the plan is. It was noon, but I think they're pushing the round 2 game back to 1. Then we'll play either Ritter or Decatur Central, whichever one we have not played yet. So.
Sounds like a nice tourney. Oh, I guess it's not a tourney. It's
Yeah, good opening start for us. Our girls' schedule's not easy coming out of the chute.
tough.
So,
Yes.
Start with New Pal and Decatur and Cardinal Ritter
you've
and
done
Mount
a good-
Vernon and.
You've done a good job.
So-
I'm sure the coach and Michelle appreciates the team.
I think in the big scheme of things, there's always that chance that where we sit in the classes that 4A could be back in our round by the end of the year, just because based on numbers. When you're the second largest 3A school, it doesn't take long to bump up to the smallest 4A school again. So.
And that will occur when?
This spring they'll do the reevaluations after the basketball
based
season.
on enrollment.
Based on enrollment. So.
And the Connersville team could be
Back to 4A.
Which would suit me just fine.
Well, I think that's people always talk about why are we playing this team and that team, and there's reasons why you got to play those teams. So
it's difficult to explain. And the reason we're 4A football because there are fewer teams football than basketball. Is that right?
well, there's 2 extra classes in football. There's the 6A
that's
class
true.
and the 5A class.
Takes
so
more
64 of those teams are pulled out.
yes.
So we're not ever going to probably drop to 3A in football.
Sure.
Now there could be, as we talked earlier, there could be some restructuring of how they do the classes because now they're talking about the top 32 teams being in 6A and the lowest 32 teams being single A, and then the next 4 kind of
What's
balance.
left divided up?
5A's kind of been the fall-in spot, so if there's extra, that tends to go into the 5A class.
Sure.
Try to put 96 in the other one so the tournament works out the correct amount of weeks. So, and then 5A gets the catch-all. So,
According to the schedule, we're home for this week, Thursday, and then we go away for 4 games before we return.
down the 2 on Saturday, then you got Mount Vernon and I can go on a blank, maybe Centerville after that, but I drew a blank on
Anderson comes to town for the next home
Anderson's
game
next
after
home
the-
game.
Yeah, somehow our schedule is trying to get tweaked. We've dropped people and picked up the tournament. Now next year we'll host that shootout, so
Very
it'll be
good.
at our place, so we won't spend all those days on the road the first weekend. So, and hopefully we'll be back to normal. And we'll have the JV part of the shootout as well. So,
And we'll be the same schools participating?
same schools for the next 3 years. So we have 4-year deals. So this is year 2, then year 3 will be at our place, and then the next year will be at Ritter High School. So.
That'll be great for Connersville fans. I know they'll be anxious to see, to have that here.
It's always good to have people come in and see the bowl and have a tournament. First time we've done a shootout like that for either boys or girls, so we'll see how well it works, utilizing the 2 gyms and having space for them and time between the games. And of course, if you have the JV going, then it makes it an all-day affair, not just a afternoon affair, because you got to play the JVs in one gym and give them time to have a little break and come back and play the varsity second 2 games. So
It'll be something to look forward to and everything.
Yeah.
The Spartan football season is over. A disappointing game with the team that came to town, Newcastle, and I know the Spartans had high hopes of continuing on, but it wasn't to be. What about the game, Sam?
Well, I thought for the most part defensively we played well. Their defense really limited our offense.
Okay.
It just seemed like we couldn't get on track offensively. But I thought the kids represented us well, and to get into that second round, the decisive win they had the week before, there were a lot of high hopes. But,
Yes.
But what I saw of this team this year, we only had 2 wins. The season was abbreviated. Who knows? We might have had more wins had those first 2 games been able to be played. But I think there's a lot of promise, and those kids just need to continue to work hard in the off season and get stronger. And it was a young team, mostly sophomores. So,
Yes.
I think Coach Jackson can have them headed in the right direction.
And Brent, a lot of the kids will be participating in the winter sports. Some will go to basketball, some to wrestling, and that's interesting. That's what coaches want, isn't it?
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's good to have your athletes. And if you talk to, I know people will argue, but if you really talk to college people, they want kids that are well-rounded athletes and not just one sport athletes. If you think of all the NFL people that are drafted in the top first round, I bet 95% of them are multi-sport athletes coming out of high school. And for some reason, we've gotten to the mode, not just here, but other places, that just got to be a single sport kid and focus on that one sport. And you tend to get more injuries and hurt more because you're using the same muscles over and over again and not giving them time to rest or develop your overall skills. So we're excited when they want to come and play. You know, we're not a 1,600 person high school anymore. We're barely over 1,000. So if we don't have all of our athletes participate in all of our sports, it really makes it hard to field teams that are competitive in certain sports based on what the kids decide to play. And the more that come out for other sports, the better off we are. So I'd always encourage them. At least 2, maybe 3 sometimes gets to be too many, but we do have those that do 3 and excel at them. So
We play several teams that out enrollment us, I guess, with more kids that we play, which is good. I mean, I'm sure you look at schedules like that, and
I think, and when you talk about building schedules, you know, we've said it many times, there should be 10 that could go either way, 5 you think you should have won, and 5 you really got to play well to be at the top. But if you don't give yourself that opportunity to play those people, then I don't think you're doing your programs justice from top to bottom when it gets to be tournament time, because you haven't got them in the right situations to prepare them for what might be coming down the pipe as you advance down, hopefully, to the state finals. So,
on the show we talked about the area teams in our area, football, and with the Spartans losing, that leaves only Franklin County, and we wish the Wildcats good luck in their chase for a 3A championship in the sectional, and they take on a team
pretty solid team.
that only has 1 loss. Lawrenceburg is 10-1, but the Wildcats are 7-2, and they've had a successful season.
Yeah, I think they both played well. You know, unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to play Franklin County. As Sam alluded to, you know, some of those losses we had early in the first 2 games might have been changed if we had a couple games under our belt.
Sure.
And the kids were learning. But I think it'll be a good game. I'm not sure if there's tickets available or how they're doing tickets. But, you know, I think Lawrenceburg is solid. I would put them up their top 11 against anybody that we played on their schedule from 1 through 11, including East Central. And from athleticism and size and speed, I was very impressed when I watched them play.
Must have been a good game with Greensburg the other night as a 1-point victory
Right,
for the Wildcats.
19-18
So.
final score. So.
You know, and Greensburg's better than people give them credit for. I mean, we had a chance to knock them off. And
Right.
had a couple
We
of
were right
mistakes
there.
that hurt us in the first 2 games that we've kind of corrected throughout the year. But, unfortunately, we had them at the wrong time in those first 2 games to put us on the wrong side of the ledger. But
Yes.
hopefully it'll continue to get better and the kids will stay bought in and put the time in and, you know, give Coach Jackson a summer and a spring to work with him, as long as, we said it before, give Coach Harder some time to work with our girls program. And she's been here 2 years and not had 2 summers to work with him. And that really puts you behind the 8 ball as a coach when you can't get the things in you want in the summertime. So you're trying to fix those things in the season when you should be just tweaking what you already worked on in the summertime. So it makes it a little bit tough. But
Like one of the surprises of the conference team was the loss of East Central early in the tournament.
Well, there's some quality football teams up there in that 4A class as well. So 5A for them, and I can't remember who beat them, but I did.
Was it Mooresville?
And Mooresville's pretty solid. We used to play them in basketball, and they have some athletes there, and it's a nice little suburb on the southwest side of Indianapolis. So you got some quality kids out there as well that doesn't live inside the donut, that live right outside the donut. So, but we hope at least we're going to have a conference representative in the regional,
Yes.
either Lawrenceburg or Franklin County, and
Right.
it's unusual that we don't have at least two. So it's a good football conference from top to bottom, and I
Right.
don't think people realize how solid it is, really, year in and year out. The top 4 or 5. So.
Yeah, the Spartans, it'll be great when they reach that point where they're still in the running this late in the tournament.
Yeah, and I think that's on the horizon if we get
Yes.
everybody to buy into the system, as it took everybody a chance to buy into Coach Brown's system and hopefully Coach Harder's system, and everybody will do, and our wrestling coaches do a great job of trying to put their system in, and I think both of our middle school wrestling coaches have decided not to return this year. One of them's got a boy now in the high school, and the other one's got his boy in the high school. So I think hopefully with the new people coming in and with Coach Taylor, we'll work on the middle school to get everybody in the same boat and work on the same system, and
Sure.
it'll help. So
Right. In the middle school, being November, basketball is not too far away for the boys, 7th and 8th graders, white and red teams. I know everybody's looking forward to that, and we hope that this virus thing doesn't interfere too much at that level.
well, it's all going to be the same rules. So whatever the limited number of people be at the high school is going to be, that's going to be the
I
same thing
see.
for the middle school.
Yes.
Maybe just a little bit less, just because they don't have the seating capacity. So there will be some restrictions on attendance.
Right.
For not only players, but their Energizer teams and their Spartanettes as well. So they don't have the band that comes in place, so that takes a few people out. But the arena seats 600 people, so to be on the inside, you get 50% capacity for the most part. And then you got to try to socially distance in there. So it doesn't go very far when you got to try to social distance and you only get 300 people in your gym. So. And you got to give the visitors a few tickets, but you don't have to give them a bunch. I know when we go to Mount Vernon to play, just so FYI, there's only 50 tickets that's going to be available to our parents. Once I get the digital ticketing link from Brandon at Mount Vernon, then we'll send that out to our parents. So there's only going to be 50 allowed people from Connersville in the gym on Tuesday the 10th or Friday the 13th if
Yes.
they don't happen to win come Friday.
Is there, we usually call ahead to make sure that they know that we're coming, but is media considered essential?
You know what? I'll have to ask that question. We didn't discuss that one, so I'll find out. So it'd be great. That way we can broadcast back home. And
Right. And I think in this day and age of what's going on, that truly we're more essential than we've ever been.
yeah, and I'll pose that question to Brandon, and I'll talk to him again tomorrow because he'll have an answer for the question he needs to tell me by tomorrow about whether their JV teams are going to be quarantined or not. So we can have that discussion tomorrow on the phone. So, I think it's important because if people can't get in, it's nice for them to be able to listen to it and follow along, whether it's on the TV or the radio or whatever the situation may be. So
It's going to be a season like no other.
that's for sure. And let's hope it's the only season like no other.
Right, yeah.
So, for lots of reasons, but you feel bad for those people when we thought we were going to be up at full capacity by August that have bought all sport tickets that haven't been able to
Yes.
truly get in and use them like they should be able to, and we want them to be able to. So there will be other things that we'll have to talk about come next year if we're out of this situation, and then how do you make some of those people whole again? So.
And it's got to be a financial hit as well on the athletic department.
It's just been a tad, so we're still floating, but not floating where we like to
But you
float.
can't do this too many. I mean,
No, I think a second year would probably tumble about everybody in the state for the most part. So, we're always looking for those gracious donors, but we haven't found those people that just love Connersville athletics enough to do that yet. So,
tell us how that works, though. That your money that you have to operate on comes from ticket sales.
yeah, well, we have a lot of
It's
great
not from tax
sponsors.
dollars, or?
No tax dollars for the athletic department. So, we have a lot of great sponsors that we've had in the past that, put their names and their ads in the program, which we greatly appreciate because that helps buy the a lot of the awards and things that we get for the kids over the course of the year, and then it's just based on all sport tickets and gate sales, and that's the revenue we get to generate. So when you're not allowed people to get into the gates, you take the first opening night at Union County, which could be as limited as this coming Friday is, and you're talking about 5,000 people compared to 500 at $5 a pop for some, and that's a huge gate for us. So
yeah.
and
a gate that's shared, correct? And,
in reality, when I think
that's probably one of their bigger nights.
When you look, it hurts. Yeah, we always have a guarantee with them to come over every year, and then if you really look at athletics as a sports, between football and the two basketball programs, those are their largest money makers. There are some sports that are what I consider break-even sports, and some are never break-even sports, and you got to rely on those other venues to carry those sports that don't create money during the school year to help carry their sports and pay their officials and pay the workers that come and work. So it's important that we have our fans in, besides not just seeing the game, but also helping us financially to continue to keep the athletic department up and running.
Hurts the booster clubs too, because they make money from concessions. So.
Yeah, concessions we've at least paid our bills and got a little extra, and they've got some, but it's not like it could be if we had a full-blown concession stand. So the teams that work those get parts of those cuts, so that helps their own individual programs. If it's something they would like to buy that's not essential to their program, or it's an add-on item, then they have the ability to buy those things that they would like to see in their program. That's a special piece of equipment that would be just specific for their sport, but it's not a team uniform or a ball or something that needs to be provided to them. So.
And I believe you told us a while back what it costs to dress a football player.
So it's probably, the helmet's $300, shoulder pads are close to $200, thigh boards, throw them on top, and pants and jerseys and mouthpieces and footballs that are $80 to $100 a piece. And
so it's not cheap.
Are they that much? I didn't realize they were that expensive.
One single baseball is $5. So every time a baseball's hit into the woods at the baseball field, $5 goes down the drain.
That's why you're out there the next day.
I probably should be, but sometimes I'm not sure I want to walk down there and see what's in the woods at the bottom. But
how does basketballs compare in price?
Basketballs are anywhere from 60 to 80, depending on, closer to 80. Volleyballs are about 80. So softballs are $80 a dozen because they're bigger.
Things we take for granted.
Yeah, I think things people don't understand that we have to help pay for out of the ticket sales, and but we try to be fair and held back on our prices. But a lot of people have already pushed that to $6, and that's been in talks for a couple of years, but I've just held off. But at some point in time, we may have to raise our ticket prices to $6 just to keep up with the cost of equipments and goods. So,
once again, if folks may have tuned in late, bring us up to date on the ticket situation for Thursday.
Well, currently, if we can continue in the correct direction and have our game Thursday, it will be limited to the voucher system like we used in football. So the girls for the basketball team will have tickets. So will the cheerleaders, the band, and the Spartanettes, and then they will hand those to their members of their family, and it'll be a very small, limited amount of people that will be allowed in the bowl. And New Palestine is only bringing in 2 people per player, so very small contingent from New Pal as well.
So in a sense, no public tickets.
No public sales, general sales at the door until further notice and things get a little bit better.
Well, we hope soon we have better news as far as a fan attendance at the Spartan games.
Yeah, it'd be nothing like missing the atmosphere of 5,000 crazy people in there having a good time. So,
Brent, as always, thanks for joining Sam and myself. It's always a pleasure to have you bring us up to date on what's happening at CHS.
Well, we appreciate you guys covering us, so it's always great to have our kids get the exposure.
Thanks, everybody, for watching this edition of the Spartan Sports Report.